All right. So I think that the number one problem that we all face is that we're in too much of a hurry to get things actually done. So the experience today that was as interesting. Somebody reached out to me and they're interested in what I'm actually doing, but I clearly can see that they really didn't take a deep dive into what I'm actually doing. I'm not going to get into the very specifics. And then I simply just asked them to look at what I actually am doing. And I'm actually just getting people to, you know, go in and take a little bit more of a deeper dive than just like a surface cursory look at something. Um, and when I when I did that, the response that I got was really kind of strange. Like people were taken aback, and from my perspective, um, you know, if you are really serious about doing something together, um, there has to be, a somewhat of a relationship that's there, and that takes some time to develop. But B, if there is kind of like a superficial, cursory understanding, and then you're asked to take a little bit more of a deeper dive so that you could see, or that particular actor can see that, yeah, you know what, I have actually solved some issues. Um, that that would have been a very positive thing for me. Right? I'm all about learning. I'm all about like, hey, um, if you want to work together, and I would suggest to take a little bit of a deeper dive whenever you do things, if you're asked to do that. I'm stumbling with this because I don't want to like out anybody. And there's lots of people that, are part of my life, but I just want people to be very well aware that if you're asked to take a little bit of a deep dive, just have a little bit of imagination and think about why other people might be doing the things that they're actually doing. Right? Like from my perspective, I've solved a lot of issues. Um and I've chosen to go certain directions on purpose because they often don't work if you go do something else. Right? It's very easy, to give me an example. It's very easy to get really enamored with new things. But what you'll realize is that the new things, the new innovations, they're not really that new. They're just kind of build on top of what other people have done. And so the best thing you can always do is just kind of refine and build on top of what other people have actually done, almost always. Or if you restart from scratch, it's a giant pain. You're going to run into all of the same issues. Um, and you're kind of just going to not really get anywhere, right? In my experience, almost everything is about taking sequential deeper dives and going deeper and deeper and deeper and getting different layers on the thing that you're actually building. It has little to do with pursuing new things. It's kind of like this folding that you end up doing in life, right? Where you fold in or knead in um, different flavors of life so that you can actually get things done. And if that happens to you, right, and somebody asks you to sort of take a look, it would be good idea to take less of a superficial look and more of a, maybe there's something that's going on here. And provide that sort of supporting role of seeing how you might develop the particular thing that you're on, right? So this goes for an innovation, it goes for writing, it goes for, anything. Like if you think about it, why would you, if you built a first layer of a house, why would you take that down and rebuild it with a new material when you already have the first layer of the house built, right? So you got to think practically and think about, okay, how do we build on top of what we actually have done? How do we use this as something that's actually a feature, not a bug or something along those lines? Because what you end up going to get is that a lot of technologies are very much just built on top of each other, right? And if you don't understand that, you're going to miss out on a tremendous amount of opportunities. So most technologies, even today, if you look at software development, for example, there's sort of a lot of the older stuff that have been around and has been tried and true. They're using software that's like 50 years old, and it's actually very difficult to find programmers now for those particular areas because they know they actually work, right? And if you don't understand that, right? So the key thing is to sort of recognize that. Why do people actually do the things that they actually do? It's because they're tried and true, and there is some stability that's actually there. And in my experience, it's much more harder than you'd ever imagine to upend everything and restart everything, right? So you build on what you actually have. You use available technologies as easily as possible, and you just keep building on top of it. You don't reinvent the wheel every single time. You're going to run into a tremendous amount of issues if you do that, and you're not going to accomplish a heck of a lot. I'd encourage you to look at the sort of folding way of life or relationships, right? Of kneading things in. When you make bread, you knead things in, and you knead in those flavors over time. And that's how you often, get a much more richer understanding than what most people truly understand, right? It's all about, okay, so there's an issue. Yes, there's a new available technology, but how do you build on what you already have? Because there's probably a reason why people have already done it in that particular way. And if somebody reaches out to you and they don't see that, that's a big red, that is a big red flag for me, because it strikes as, I don't know, inexperience. I don't think it's because I don't think experience necessarily has much to do with it. It's impatience. It's an unwillingness to work together. It's, a lack of humility, and it's almost always a turnoff for me. And I think it's a turnoff for lots of people that are very serious. They want to work in very rich relationships. If you want to move the needle and accomplish things, they don't want to work in a superficial relationship. So, I hope you do listen to this, whoever reached out to me today. And I apologize. I'm not going to give that much depth because I think it could be taken in the wrong way, um, in terms of why I don't feel comfortable. But hopefully you can understand this and get my perspective without getting terribly upset. It's not you, it's me. I don't want to go through all of the hassle of going through this sort of coaching with humility and going a step-by-step process, one little day at a time. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.